Okay, are you ready to get started on our next project? This is going to be a super fun, super easy card that will use all the skills we learned in the last lesson. We're going to use the same colors so you can get a little bit more familiar with how they work. But we're going to add in the crystal blue and then our gray wool as well. So we're going to get started with this, and this one, I mean, there's several places we could start. We could start on the camper, the trees. I usually like to start at the top and work down so that my hand, if I started here and then was working here, my hand would drag that ink. So I try to avoid that. So I always try to start more at the top. And usually I know once I work on those, I'll move away from it. So I'm just going to drop in some color here. This is my citrus leaf, and I'm just dropping it in as you've seen me do. I could go ahead and drop it in on my tree or right over here, or I could wait. We'll just go ahead and drop it in there now. And then we're going to grab our clover meadow, and we're going to go a little opposite, pull some of the same ones. There's not really any rhyme or reason to how I'm doing this. I think when I color these, I color every one of them differently. And then again, I like working with this fine tip brush right here. It's my favorite. Definitely practice with your brushes. And then I'm just going to drop my water in here. And I'm going to pull my color out and around my branches there, and maybe some of the color up there. I'm going to pick up a little bit more water. I'm pulling my color out. I'm going to pick up some more here. I do have a lot of water on here, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's really fading this darker green. I'm just going to walk away from that area, picking up some more water. You can see it rolling down on my brush. Going to bring some of that color onto the other side and then just pull it down and around my branches. Up over there a little bit. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now we need to let that dry. We don't want to go back and mess with that until that has had a chance to dry. Then I'm going to pull my gray wool. I want to get this little area here. It's so small. I want to grab it while I don't have any other color dropped in there. So I'm just going to drop some color in. I'm actually going to drop a little bit on my tire there. And we're also going to introduce the black. Everyone's always afraid to use the black watercolor. With good reason, it's a strong color. But we're just going to drop some here and on the tire. Okay, so we've got our gray wool on the fender there, and the first thing I'm going to do is just gently, I want to pull that over. Pull that color over here. That's all I'm going to do. Then I'm going to go in on this other side, and I'm going to kind of wet it in the middle here. Might not have it. Yeah, I've got enough water on my brush, and I'm going to pull that into the middle. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave that. Now I'm going to pick up just a little bit more water here. I'm going to drop it in my lightest area again, and then I'm just going to work my way around very gently. Wherever I drop the water is where it'll stay, so it will stay in that little circle that I just made. So I'm just going to dab it in there, and then I keep telling myself in my head to leave it alone. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone and wash my brush. Okay, and then we just want to be sure and let that dry really good. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to flip this little baby around. And when an area is drying, we don't want to work right next to it. So we don't want to work on this yet because we still have our gray cooling here and our black not cooling, drying. So we really don't want to work on that area yet. So we could easily go ahead and work on our camper, and I love, love, love my citrus green. So I'm just going to drop some of that in here. I'm coloring kind of heavy because I want more of a punch of this yummy green color. It's a delicious color. If you want it to be more pastel, that's fine. I just want more of a little punch of it. And then I'm just going to bring some around right here, and maybe right in there. And then I'm just lightly dropping in a little bit of color. I don't even know if you can tell, but just lightly putting some in there as well. Trying not to leave any hard line strokes because I don't want those to read. And then I want to take the same green that I used on my trees. You could certainly use a different green, but I really like this Clover Meadow, and we're just going to keep that nice balance here. I'm going to drop those shadows under the windows, and we're going to drop some shadow back here and over here by this door. Get my shadows in there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my brush here and put some water on it. I might get just a little bit more water for this area. I'm going to start in my lightest area and drop my water down. And then just start working that area. Now you can see that I'm taking that darker green and pulling it. I could pull it into these areas. I'm going to wash my brush off though, because if I pull too much color, I won't have any of that white area any longer. Just going to bring this water down here. And the longer you leave it on there, it will take care of itself and do its own thing. Okay, I'm just going to just blend it. I think that's great. Clean my brush off. I'll turn it around here. Okay, there we've got the top of our RV done. Let's go ahead, while that's drying, we're going to work on these letters down here. I'm going to take my citrus leaf again, this is my lightest green, and I just go in and color the insides of these letters. So let's get your letters colored. Where there's not an inside, I just draw it on here. This is my base color that I have chosen to be my base, so I want it on the entire letter. Then I'm going to take my Clover Meadow, and I want this coming up from the bottom. It's going to be grounding my words here. So I'm just dropping it in more towards the bottom areas, and you can see I'm not perfectly in the lines on some of these letters, and that's okay. This is a watercolor, so you kind of want it to feel like a watercolor and have it read that when people see it. Now I'm going to pull my color from my top down. Pull it into my darker color. And then if it looks like you're starting to bring too much of that darker green up into your lighter color, you can wash your brush off. And I got a little too much water on there. And start the process again, pulling that lighter color down into the darker. You can always pick up a little more water if you like. We got a lot right there. I want to pull some of that out. And you can go in and you can pull some of that color out if you want to. And give it that more watercolor feel. That's up to you. That's just a design thing that you can do. If you want to keep it in, you can. Okay, so we've got those letters done. Next, I'm looking to see how wet it is up here. I think we're okay to take our crystal blue, And we're going to go in here and just drop some of this here in the window. Got this gorgeous, gorgeous blue inside the camper. I wouldn't mind being a guest in that camper right now. Coloring in the woods, that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay. We're just dropping that around. I'm going to clean my brush off because I don't want to lose all of my white space right there. So we're done with that. How easy was that? That was super, super easy. Okay, I think we might be okay. I'm trying to debate if I should flip it. I'm going to go ahead and flip it just because I flipped it when I did this other image and I want to keep the consistency of my coloring the same. I'm actually going to take I'm going to go ahead and take the sunflower and drop some of that in here right now because I tend to lose those little circles when I get going. Now I've got my bubble gum and I'm just going to start adding my foundation color to the bottom of the RV here. Then I'm going to get a little lighter as I color it. Maybe a little darker over here on this edge. And then a little lighter as it goes in. Go a little darker right here by the door, and then lighter. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Picking up some color here, and again, where I've got that whitest area, I'm going to drop in my color, and then just start gently adding my water. So I get that nice little blend there. And if it puddles, see how it's kind of puddling when I touch down with my brush? You can really use that to put your design where you want it. That's where I'm using that for my shadows. I'm going to get out of there before I totally make a mess. It's easy to overwork an area. Secret is drop your color, drop your water down, add your water within the space. If you need to give it a little blend, give it a little blend and get out of there. Especially with these brighter colors that we're using here. And you know what I realized just now is that I didn't drop my holiday red in, which is fine because now I can show you how to do that if you forget. So we've just used one color right here and it actually works great, but I am going to show you how you can go in afterwards and then add in another color on top of that if you like. Super, super easy. Okay, so let me give you a potty break, and when we come back, we will finish this little baby.